Today's show is brought to you by Casper. Get $50 towards any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/ballers and using promo code BALLERS.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Happy Monday, everybody. It is Monday, August 24th. This is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. We welcome you in. Welcome to the show. This is Andy Holloway, joined by Jason Moore.
Hello, football fanatics. I was going to say fans, and
It's supposed to. You just say hi. Just say hi.
Hi.
And Mike, the Fantasy Hitman, right?
Good morning, Foot Clan members.
It is Monday, August 24th. Like I said, we are back. Preseason week 2 is in the books. And it was pretty exciting. It was some good stuff. We are going to play real football, and you're going to accumulate real stats.
Us personally.
We're going to play real football.
On the show today. No.
Pay to watch it.
If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at the FF Ballers. If you want to follow Mike, you can do so at FF Hitman. Jason is at JasonFFL, and you can follow me at Andy Holloway. Believe it or not, it's at Andy Holloway, not the Fantasy Reaper.
This might have to change.
Yeah, big time news. We'll get into that in a minute. Visit the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, if you have a question you want to submit. We are going to be adding a new feature to the site, and it is a ultimate draft review. Where
Ultimate.
That is true. And one of us, or all of us, is going to basically offer you a review of your draft, look at team strengths, team weaknesses, give you an action plan for the season, kind of go through all the things that you're wanting to know about how your draft went since the drafts are taking place. We've had so many people ask those questions. So we're going to add that on the website so there's an easy way to send us your draft.
I've said it before, and I'll say it 100 more times during draft season. You don't win your championship at the draft. So getting a draft plan and looking, okay, now what do I do moving forward, and having an idea of your team and your league, that's very helpful to winning.
Yes, and so pay attention to that. Obviously, we're here. It's Monday, so we're back to, or we're now at 5 days a week.
Yeah, surprise, we're here.
Everyone wants Monday morning podcast.
I'm surprised that I'm here.
Yeah.
Been a rough morning?
Yeah, you could say that.
Had some bad food yesterday?
Yeah, we're powering through.
All right.
If my voice vanishes for 20 minutes,
you know where.
Continue.
You know where Mike is. All right, today's quick question. The player who stood out most from week 2 was
David. Oh, I said that incorrect. David Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
We're back. We're back.
So David Johnson.
Look,
we had a little bit of tumult over the last few weeks.
Yeah, everything was based off of his hamstring injury and the coaching staff getting frustrated that he was not practicing. Well, so they added Chris Johnson, and then who went down with a hamstring injury?
So funny that Chris Johnson got a hamstring injury.
And so Ellington, of course, took the first snaps.
He looked good to me. Looked fine.
Yes, and he did.
But a couple carries.
But they gave David Johnson work. Like, they threw him out and said, you're going to play for 2 quarters, my friend. And he delivered. He started out, he looked college-y. That's not really a word, but by that I mean he was going east-west a lot when he first started because he was trying to go back to his old game plan in college.
Yeah, that's called Reggie Bushing it when you first come into the league.
Things you think you can get away with. The coaches quickly got on him, and as soon as they told him, dude, go north-south, he looked great.
He is a big guy.
Now,
you watched the film. Big guy, a goal line guy.
That was what I was going to bring up. It's going to be goal lines taken away from Andre Ellington. They're going to go to David Johnson.
So I'm not going to overreact because it was one preseason game, but this is what exactly what I wanted to see from David Johnson.
All right. David Johnson's your guy. My guy was it was Carlos Hyde without question. He got a lot of work. He averaged 5.6 a carry in preseason week 2, and he looked every bit the part of a feature back on film. I've been a doubter of Carlos Hyde. Kind of the same, a very similar way that I've been a doubter of Ingram as a premier back, which is the Bush and Spiller factor. How much are they going to throw the ball to these guys? How good can they be on first and second down? But this week, Hyde and Ingram both stood out to me. Hyde looked fast. He looked like they were going to overload him with carries this year. So he's the guy who stood out to me. I'll be moving him up a little bit.
Yeah, he did look good. I will keep it in the running back vein, and I will go with the guy I actually went with last week as well, which was this week, once again, Christopher Ivory. Chris Ivory looked really spry. He looked the same as he looked last week as far as running the ball. He got that 33-yard touchdown run to finish his day. But the reason that I liked him the most wasn't actually that run. It wasn't his yards on the ground. It was the fact that he caught in short time 3 passes.
I feel like that.
He caught 3 passes all last year. I mean, he was never been used as a pass-catching back. Todd Bowles in the offseason was saying, I think Chris Ivory can be a 3-down back. And I didn't believe it because I didn't think Chris Ivory could catch the ball and be a 3-down back, especially while you've got Bilal Powell there. And Chris Ivory looked good catching the ball. So, we don't want to overreact in preseason, but those are just the things we look for and say, hey, is it possible that Chris Ivory could actually be used on 3 downs for a running team? Maybe look at him as a running back
even
too.
Sometimes on 3 downs changes the
right,
equation.
Exactly. He's not going to be all the time.
We've really been talking that an Ivory is a target, a later round target that you want to grab for your team to bolster your running back depth. A starting running back who 7th, 8th round you can get, and if he turns into a 3-down back in the 7th round, goodness.
I really like what I've seen from the Jets. I think they will be able to compete this year. I'm not making any high claims on their playoff potential, but they're going to compete. And they have weapons on offense, big guys, Marshall and Decker on the outside to impact that offense. So, yeah, I mean, good point. So I haven't really said what we're doing on today's show yet. We're going to go through the news and notes. There's obviously some big news that has been breaking and things going on. We're also going to we're going to do a simultaneous walk through preseason week 2 mixed with our risers and fallers. So guys moving up our draft board, guys that we're taking down a notch on our draft board. So, so we'll talk a little bit more about guys like Ivory and Ingram and those type of players. So it should be a good show today. We're also going to hit the mailbag, answer some questions from the listeners. We appreciate all the reviews on iTunes, Stitcher, all of those locations.
Very much.
They make a difference.
We really, really appreciate the reviews, Foot Clan
Absolutely.
members.
So
they help a lot.
Let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
I wonder
fear
if people...
the Reaper.
You know what? I don't want to break the news about Jordy Nelson because
there's no confirmation.
That's what I mean. But if I talk about it, is that going to be a problem?
I don't know. You take people's souls with them.
So, yeah. So basically, good. I never said a word about him. Basically, the news is non-contact injury for Jordy Nelson. Went down in the middle of the game. No one touched him. That's not a good sign in football. That normally means you've got an issue with your ACL. And so the initial diagnosis is ACL tear for Jordy Nelson. It is pretty much depressing for everybody involved, including Aaron Rodgers. I would love to talk a little bit about his value and what you see. But I should say there has not been an official report on the ACL. They're hoping for good news.
And to go along with that, why we're just I would say probability-wise, it's higher that there's a catastrophic injury there. But why we're each whole little hope as he went down, he got up nearly immediately and ran himself off the field.
I was shocked at that.
So did Carson Palmer last year, if you remember.
I don't
Carson
remember.
Palmer.
Did he run off?
He was walking normal. When he went to the locker room, he looked fine. I mean, normally guys can walk on it.
Yeah, but don't drop him yet. And if someone in your league, if your league is drafted and they've dropped him,
grab him real quick.
Pick him up because who knows?
But let's talk implications. If Jordy Nelson's gone for the season, which would be devastating for obviously every Nelson owner or those that hope to draft him, that's not on the table anymore. But let's talk about Devontae Adams. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. And then I saw a report this morning that if they confirm the news about Jordy Nelson, that Green Bay will be calling Reggie Wayne.
Ooh.
Really?
Yes. I saw a report about an hour ago that was on the table. Now, Wayne is this is a bit of news as well. Wayne is in New England doing a physical for the Patriots. So he is a veteran receiver that I don't know how much he has left, but he might not need a bunch left to come in and be a Donald Driver type guy on that offense. I mean, what are the implications first for Aaron Rodgers? because I've been texted 3 or 4 times. Oh, what happens to Rodgers now?
The splits, I mean, very, very, very small sample size, but the splits without Jordy Nelson have been pretty much fine. Almost identical numbers for Aaron Rodgers with and without him in his career.
Now, were those
were
those days of James Jones being a guy that
I
was
mean,
involved
he's had,
him? I'm just
obviously
asking.
he's had different weapons over that time, so very hard to actually predict. The real question here is who fills into his role. The expectation, right, would be for Davante Adams to really step up and go into that role. We saw in the game it wasn't that way, and granted that was mid-game, so they hadn't game planned for it, but I believe it was Jeff Janis that went in as a replacement and played for him. No matter what, I think you got to look at Jeff Janis and Ty Montgomery and just keep your eyes on them to see in the third preseason game how are they used. And also, I think this does improve Randall Cobb. There's no way, I don't see a way that the Green Bay Packers don't have a wide receiver 1 at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
So
I think it helps Eddie Lacy too.
You know, he was almost my guy that I was going to talk about. He looked so good in that game. He just looked exactly why I've got him as my number 2 running back.
Yeah, you can't take him off the field because you need weapons on the field. I agree with the Cobb comment. I think because Lacy goes up, Rodgers goes down a little bit for me. He doesn't take him out of that top tier, but it made me think a little bit about, would I rather have Luck and those weapons than I would Rodgers?
So I'm looking at the numbers right now of a split Aaron Rodgers career with and without Jordy Nelson. There's a 1-point difference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be like, I don't know how much I'd apply that or not.
So Green Bay has a history of finding weapons, especially wide receivers. So if one of these guys, be it we talk Montgomery, Janis,
somebody's going to step up.
Adams, and we're talking draft. Let's talk draft right now.
Yeah, where are you drafting Davante Adams? That's the question I had, and that's the question people want to know because they'll be like, "Ooh, I got to jump in on this hot receiver that nobody wants." But where do they jump in at?
I look for him in the 5th. He jumps up to a wide receiver 2 to me automatically, so he's in that.
Davante Adams or Roddy White?
Adams.
Okay.
But it also helps that Roddy White is having surgery on his elbow.
Davante Adams or Brashad Perryman?
Adams for sure.
Davante Adams or John Brown?
Adams.
Okay.
So he's in the mix of those twos. I'm looking in the 5th.
Davante Adams or T.J. Houshmandzadeh?
Hoosh.
It would not surprise me if you're going to
miss him.
Oh, I got a good one. Davante Adams or Martavis Bryant?
That's a very good one, and I would take Adams.
Yeah, me too. I think right now you've got a number. I mean, he's going to be the second guy there, right? I mean, there's no way Jeff Janis will overtake Davante Adams.
Janis had a bad drop. He's new. Adams is the second guy guaranteed. The talk about Janis or Montgomery or whoever else, Reggie Wayne, is who's in there on 3 wide receiver sets.
Exactly. But so I like Adam. I start looking in the 4th, but I'd rather get him in the 5th and be careful because people are going to start reaching.
Yep.
All right.
I saw some trades that were too much. You're giving up
to get Adams.
Yeah, to get
I
Davante
saw it too.
Adams a little bit too much too quick.
Don't overreact. Settle down. All right. The Jaguars. They said T.J. Yeldon will begin to work with the first team offense. I actually moved Yeldon down a little bit. I watched the Jags game. Denard Robinson looks fine. I mean, he had games last year where he looked fine. Gerhardt looked fine too. It's just a matter of workload, and they'll probably not give Yeldon the workload until the second half of the year at a high clip.
I'm going to be really interested to watch because the news is that he's going to get a heavy workload next week, right? I mean, that's what they're saying is they're going to give him a lot of usage, and that's going to be one of the most important games because T.J. Yeldon, for some reason, has just been assumed he's going to be a 3-down workhorse, have the whole workload, and I have never really believed that as much as the reports are, but we're going to see how good he is. But I agree with you. Denard Robinson looked good enough to where I don't see Yeldon getting, all the touches.
All right, out of Steelers camp, very bad news for the Steelers. Marquise Pouncey's injury. A fractured fibula. He has gone 8+ weeks. And what kind of impact?
He's not a superstar center, but he's a great overall lineman, and he can move positions. I think it has an effect on the running game.
We've talked a lot about centers.
Do I drop Bell? No. but it's possible that that Bell is not light years ahead, so to speak, of everybody else now.
All right. To confirm what we knew, Bears first-round pick Kevin White underwent surgery on Sunday to repair the stress fracture in his left shin.
Oof.
We knew that this is probably a year-ending injury, and so that's the case, but too bad. Too bad when you don't get to see a guy with immense talent come out, and he's going to have to come out next year, and he'll probably be – everyone will be wondering what kind of fantasy year he can put up after an injury like that.
Eddie Royal with cheese.
Eddie Royal. Yeah, that offense, watching that game, meh.
Yeah, but there's fantasy points to be had.
No doubt. No
Yeah,
doubt. We like Eddie Royal. Roddy White had surgery on his right elbow, which means he's got only one more left for his quota this offseason.
I think he only has one more elbow.
No, the surgery is called minor. They think he'll be back for opening day, but I don't like it.
Yeah, and this is
things linger with Roddy White.
This is a guy we're going to talk a little in our risers. It's an alert for Leonard Hankerson, because if we remember what happened whenever Julio or Roddy went down,
Harry
Douglas was a beast.
Exactly. Someone comes in and has production.
People don't. I tweeted about Leonard Hankerson about a week ago as a sleeper in deeper leagues before any of this Roddy news, but the number 3 wide receiver has value there. Leonard Hankerson was a Shanahan guy in Washington.
True.
So they brought him over, and now he scored a touchdown in this past game. So, yeah, we'll talk more about him. Yeah. Did you have something, Jay?
I was just going to say he's free. You can get him on waivers if your draft is done. So,
and then ESPN Titans reporter said David Cobb, he thought David Cobb would have more carries than Sankey, but Sankey played very well.
He looked very good when the holes were open for him. He ran through them much quicker than last year and burst. But when the holes weren't open, when he had to fight for yards, he just seems a little too small to me to really get those good yards. So I think it's going to end up being a split. But Sankey was on my risers list for sure.
Okay, well, let's start talking a little bit about what we saw in preseason week 2 and which guys over the course of camp and this offseason were moving up, because we've talked about Devontae Adams. He has to go up your board now. Obviously, Jordy Nelson's out. Who else stood out in big ways? Because I've got a few names that I saw that I thought my opinion was changing on, but who's standing out for you, Mike? Who's been somebody who you doubted and now you're really rising on?
Brandon Cooks. It was and I'll repeat it again. The concern for Brandon Cooks was never talent. Was just looking at usage of last year, how there was a dramatic shift halfway.
We've got a lot of heat over Brandon Cook rankings.
Yeah, and everything was halfway through the year. They completely switched his role, and they went Deshaun Jackson with him. And so I was concerned about reliability week to week. But if they're going to use him the way they're using him in the preseason, man, he looks very solid, and they're getting him plenty of bubble screens and getting the ball in his hands like they were doing the first half of last season.
You know who stood out to me?
You sound very disappointed with this.
No.
That was the sigh of moving on, apparently.
Or was that a dramatic pause?
Drew Brees, he looked really good, and I've been down on him. I spoke down of you, Mr. Drew. But he
Didn't you make me a Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger bet?
Well, Ben Roethlisberger looked great, so I got no problem with that bet.
Okay.
But Drew Brees did look very, very good, very sharp, and the weapons seem to be rising there around him. You know, he had all those weapons lost and seems to have some weapons gained. I still think they're going to run the ball more, so that it's not going to be the same amount of attempts he usually gets, but he is Drew Brees, so he'll be pretty good. I still don't like the value where he's being drafted.
Ben Watson caught a touchdown. He looked pretty good to me. Obviously, the tight ends are involved in the passing game there. I moved Colston down a little bit just because I was witnessing a lot of weapons on that team with Cooks and Coleman, and Ingram caught passes, and Ingram's a guy that looked really good to me.
Yeah, and which is fantastic news. The concern on Ingram was we've seen it for 1 year after years of disappointment for a first-round pick, a guy they moved up to take in the first round, and he's on his contract year, and all of a sudden he's good. There's question marks there. But so seeing him continue his performance from last year is fantastic news.
All right, so that covers the Saints pretty good.
Yeah. Can we cover another team that I really want to talk about?
Go for it.
There is a team out there that was so crazy and wily this offseason, you kind of had no idea whether the mad science of it would come together. But the Philadelphia Eagles offense looks fantastic. Bradford looked good. He took some hits, drove him down the field, got a touchdown.
Did you guys see the picture?
No.
Of Terrell Suggs, like a perfectly timed picture of Terrell Suggs hitting him right in the knee.
Oh, man. He had some brutal hits on him. I think 2 brutal.
But it was the picture is outstanding. You got to go Google it.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. But specifically for me, the running backs. DeMarco Murray looked really, really good. Ryan Matthews stole the touchdown on that first drive. And from a fantasy perspective, I started thinking, I want some chips in that backfield. And I've been high on Ryan Matthews, and I've been kind of lower on Murray. But I'm now of the viewpoint of where they're going in a draft, you can very easily get both of them. I don't think it's going to cost you too much to get both of those guys. And for me, I think that would be valuable to have both of them on your team. It's the best
both,
handcuff.
though?
I think there are situations where you can start both. I would presume that I would just be starting Murray with the best handcuff in the league. But I think that as the year rolls on, it's possible that both of those players are week-to-week startable. So I'm just saying you can hedge your bets and have what I know is going to be a very run-heavy, successful, high-scoring backfield. So I think I'm putting some chips on that backfield.
And taking a look at ADP, Murray
I'm hungry for chips now.
Murray is a guy who I had no problem taking the first round.
But Latavius Murray?
No. DeMarco Murray.
Oh, okay.
I would take him in the back half of the first round. ADP, right now, he's in the middle of the second round. So if you're one of those, one of the drafters who wants to take an elite wide receiver, so you're in the back, now if things trend this way, or if you're drafting right now, I mean, now you have Jeremy Hill and DeMarco Murray that can possibly fall back to you in the second round. That would be just tremendous value for me to get a high-level RB1 right there.
Another offense that looks good, another guy that looks good to me is Lamar Miller. He was very quick. He was clearly the guy in Miami, and he looks like he's going to pick up where he left off last year. Tannehill looked good. Every time he needed to make a throw, it was the Jarvis Landry show in the shorts.
Yeah.
So Stills caught a few passes. They obviously are going to get Devontae Parker. Jordan Cameron was running a lot of routes. I mean, the offense looked very fluid. It looked quick. I think all the signs and things we've talked about with Tannehill look good to me. Did you guys have any thoughts on that game?
I just really loved Lamar Miller. I really did. I watched that game, and he was fast and spry.
Froyo love?
Yeah, I might take him out for some Froyo. Absolutely. And actually,
you're wearing kind of a
I'm rocking
teal.
my Dolphins teal today. Lamar Miller really did look good, and you know who else looked good was Williams behind him. Jay Ajayi is nowhere to be found for me. I know I gave him some love just a couple weeks ago, saying that would be a great handcuff because he's a 3-down type of guy, but I think the Dolphins have kind of soured on him, and there's just no need because Williams looked like a great backup, and Lamar Miller looked like a great starter.
Yeah, to me, there's always the need, but I think it's going to be a mid-season type of transition for Ajayi. Right now, it's just not there. He hasn't impressed anybody, and Williams looks fine, like you said. Williams had a goal line carry. I mean, that was another thing that, I mean, I'm sure in the preseason we can't make too much of it, but they do have a history of not giving Miller too many touches.
Yeah.
So that still has to be remembered. Miller can look amazing, but if he's getting 10, 12, 14 touches a game in the backfield, he'll be a fantasy value, but he can't be a top 5 guy.
And Lamar Miller is going currently at the top of the third.
Yeah, which is just
beautiful.
Wonderful. Very good.
For RB1 potential in the third. Come on, people.
Another guy separating himself from the pack is Latavius Murray. He has looked good this offseason.
He has.
Trent Richardson is, well, I got a lot of Latavius Murray bets, so I hope he can just salvage some of those for me.
I can't wait. If Joik comes back and has a good game, I can't wait to hear Mike's tears. I want to hear the tears rolling on the microphone.
Yeah.
You will not see that happen.
See, that's why I really
No,
am
we got
looking
the
forward
camera
to
on. You can go to YouTube. We'll see it.
Yeah.
No, I'm referring to Joik Bell coming back and having a good game.
Yeah, well, I'm patient. I'm a patient man.
That's the great thing about fantasy football. We
week
figure
10.
out.
Week 10 is going to be so good for you.
Right now, Halou is...
Hello!
I was waiting for it. I read a tweet from someone that said in their draft, Roy Halou got drafted, and some guy across the room goes, hello! and he knew he had a kindred, spirit in the draft.
Very
and
nice.
He said that their two teams were the best.
Yep, Foot
Of
Clan
course.
Brothers.
Of course.
But pretty funny though if you hear somebody chomping on some Oreos on the other side of the room, and chomping and hello.
Yeah, very
It is
nice.
really fun to say. All right, let's talk about some fallers, guys that we're worried about, guys in offenses that we're concerned about. But first, let's talk about Casper, guys. It's not 1964 anymore.
It is not. It's 2015. We're in the modern age.
We don't have to buy mattresses the same way our parents bought mattresses. I don't
With
need to go
pushy
into
salesmen?
a store. Yeah, pushy salesman telling me why I need this $3,000 mattress. Let's talk about Casper. Perfectly engineered mattress.
They obsess with the engineering of their mattresses, and they have shockingly fair prices for what they're offering. When you lay on the Casper, you get the right sink, just the right bounce, and that's because of the perfect merging of two high techs of latex and memory foam.
Absolutely. You get a 100-night trial and a 10-year warranty with a Casper mattress.
Yeah, and you just literally order it online, casper.com/ballers. If you use the promo code BALLERS, you will actually get $50 off your mattress, which is a really good deal on a mattress that's already – a king-size mattress is $950. That is a very good deal when you're talking about a high-quality mattress.
Yeah, and $500 for a twin, and you're supporting American jobs. They're made in the USA.
America!
Yeah, so definitely check it out. Casper.com/ballers. If you're in the market for a mattress, if you've been thinking about changing, this is the company that you want to go with.
Today's
it's
the
not
day.
1964 anymore. This is how you buy a mattress today.
On the internet.
Casper.com/ballers. Use the promo code BALLERS, and you'll get that perfect mattress. All right, let's talk fallers, guys. Rashad Jennings is concerning me because he hasn't shown up yet in the preseason, and it's a crowded backfield.
Yeah, and Rashad Jennings was last year. His value came from catching the ball, and there's been the concerns all offseason when they bring in a guy who that's what he does in Shane Vereen. On top of that, the O-line was not really rebuilt to run the ball, and you have a recipe for a kind of fantasy disaster for Jennings.
And Jennings is, while I like him, he has a career arc that isn't star-studded, right? He had a few kind of inconspicuous seasons, and then he had a very good year, and he looked okay in New York last year, but he doesn't have the pedigree of necessarily being a guaranteed workhorse back when he's healthy and back. And so they like Andre Williams. They drafted him. They keep giving him carries. I think he led the team in rushing this past week. And Vereen is there, like Mike said. So my thoughts that Rashad could be a steal are starting to fall away.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So, Jason, what other fallers, what other guys are slipping a little bit? Washington pass catchers have been brought up a little bit because of how bad that offensive line looked.
The line, and who's the quarterback?
R.G. Throffle. I mean, sorry. I was so high on RG3 when he came out, and he had one of the best rookie seasons of all time, and I just don't get it. Why can't he be a good quarterback? Because the guys behind him look great. I mean, they look great. Like, if you're Washington, how do you start RG3? How do you actually keep going with RG3 instead of putting in either guy behind him? And I feel like I would be much higher on the pass catchers if you put in the backup. So, I don't know.
I would love nothing more than to see Washington succeed and Jay Gruden succeed, but I am worried about this season. I feel like it's just going to be an unwinnable situation with RG3 and Jay Gruden and what that offense is doing. So I'd be concerned about consistency from the pass catchers there. Not that there's not talent. I mean, D-Jax, we already know, isn't consistent. He can perform huge. He can win you a week. But Garcon, it's been a couple years since he's been super consistent. And then Deshaun Jackson is just up and down. And so I don't know. It's a red alert for me.
They have to make the move at this point. If RG3 gets cleared and he plays again and he puts up another just stinker in the dress rehearsal week for the NFL season, you gotta go to McCoy or Captain Kirk.
So switching gears, in a half point or full point PPR league, do you still take Ingram over Spiller?
Yes.
In all formats then?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, see, I'm starting to rotate there too. Spiller slipping a little bit. If you watch the game with Ingram, He actually caught the ball out of the backfield. They've been working on that. They threw him a wheel route over the shoulder. He caught it, ran down the sideline, threw him a couple in the flats. I mean, Kyrie Robinson was catching passes too. I'm a little worried about Spiller because how many times can he fool us with health or thoughts and all this top speed hope?
Yeah, too many times to have promise blown up in your face. So Spiller's dropped down for me. I was really excited about the possibility of him being
He could
Darren
still be
Sproles.
fine. We're not saying he
And I'm still going to
Yeah.
I like that his ADP is going down because I still want to take the gamble on
Well,
him.
that's really what it is, right? It's a value play. Can you get him where he's worth it?
Yeah, Mike, where do you want Spiller right now? Where do you hope he falls to in your draft? You're drafting tonight, and it's a half-point PPR.
Devontae Adams or C.J. Spiller?
Adams.
That's interesting.
And I would be extremely excited if I got Spiller in the 6th.
Aw,
Extremely.
man.
I can dig that.
I'm
That's
looking
the
at this-
round that popped up for me too.
I got to stop saying Chris Ivory on the show.
Is he? Because he's
He's
going
ahead
up?
of Spiller now. And
He should
Oh,
be.
in ADP?
yeah.
He should be.
Well, he should be, sure. I just don't want him to be.
Well, he was another name we didn't even bring up in the risers yet.
This is another thing.
Are you in
Foot
PPR?
Clan? Yeah, no, I don't think I am. But Foot Clan, if you're out there, whoever we talk up, just always talk them down to your friends. That is a good rule of thumb. Talk down the good guys. You know.
In PPR, Spiller's still going ahead.
Of Ivory. Well, that
just
makes
so you know.
sense.
Yep.
But yeah, he's coming up. Ivory's coming up. A lot of these late round values are, it's draft week. It's draft time. It's August 24th.
Yes.
Is that the Pillsbury Doughboy?
Yeah. What?
How did you get here?
Double stuff.
Double stuff gets
All
you
right.
a
Hey,
lot of Pillsbury.
let's go ahead and transition here. Let's answer some listener questions.
Mailbag.
All right, if you have a question, go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Click the Submit a Question button. You can also call us 302-464-TFFB and leave a voicemail question. All right, Andrew in Canada is in a 14-team league. He drafted Alfred Morris as his running back 1. How worried are we that Matt Jones will eat into Alfred Morris's touches? He says they only have 4 bench spots, and he's stashing Foster, so should he pick up Matt Jones? I have my thoughts, but I'll let you guys answer. They might be different.
My first thought is your team better be really, really good if Morris is your RB1. I mean, your receivers, and I assume.
Well, Arian might have been his RB1. That's,
Well,
I mean,
you
know
It's
what I mean?
also a
Okay,
14 team.
No, he got him in the 14th round, Arian Foster. But
Yeah.
anyway, so back to the question of, do I think Matt Jones eats into Morris's carries? It's a slight concern for me, but I still think Morris is the guy. I know Matt Jones has looked solid during the preseason, but Morris he's tested, he's proven.
Even though I love Matt Jones and his potential for the future, when I watched the Washington game, I kind of said to myself, I'm undervaluing Alfred Morris again because he's just gonna produce. He's not gonna be flashy, but he's gonna produce.
Yeah, and the reason that Matt Jones had the opportunity to look so good was because Alfred Morris was sitting on the sidelines getting rest, knowing he was the starter. That's always a good sign. I mean, we're not scared off at Adrian Peterson being on the sideline right now. That's a done deal. He's fine. We don't need to play him. So yeah, Alfred Morris is still. I wouldn't be too scared, and I wouldn't drop one of your bench guys to get Matt Jones if you've only got 4.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's probably fair.
yes.
Brian in Connecticut says, hey, guys, the subject of this question was really stupid question. He said he got
There's no stupid questions.
No. He said he got stuck with the worst pick this year, number 1 overall. He says he usually goes 0 RB, however, and loves the big wide receivers. Should he draft Julio Jones at number 1? But he does say this. He says maybe he's overthinking it, but he hates drafting a guy who misses 2 straight games right off the bat in Le'Veon Bell, or an age risk in AP or Jamal, where he'd be stuck rostering Niall Davis.
So take Eddie Lacy.
Yeah.
I don't see if you don't have concerns on Eddie Lacy, I'm taking him number 1.
I have such a hard time being at the number 1 spot and not taking a running back.
Here's a little reminder for everybody. The 2 players that went down this past week, their name were Kelvin Benjamin and Jordy Nelson, and neither of them play the running back position.
That reminds me, guys. I forgot to put him in the fallers section. I'm falling on Jordy Nelson.
Oh, yes. He's looking like a down year down on the field. No, I mean, I had somebody else send me an email, too. They're like, we don't understand why everybody thinks wide receivers are more safe. I mean, that's the general thought process here is they're more safe, but everybody can get hurt.
Yeah, they're a little more safe, but, I mean, it's not like, well, I'm going wide receiver so that I'm
Tell
guaranteed.
that to Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
And when I did my study of it was the last 2 or 3 years, and yes, the RB bust factor of the first round was higher, but there was still busts from the wide receiver position, drafting them that high. Like Andy said, anybody can get hurt. Running backs are more prone to getting hurt, but the numbers to me, the way that I read the statistics tells me to take a running back.
Yep, fair enough. All right.
Also, I see later in his question, Jimmy Graham at the 2-3 turn.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Andrew in Dallas. He has a work league. The commissioner wants to change things up.
Uh-oh.
It was a 0.5 PPR.
Love
and
it.
he wants to bump it to 2 points per reception.
That's silly.
And he also moved quarterbacks from 4 to 6 points. So now he's having trouble finding any good information for ADP for this kind of a league and wonders if we have any tips for a 2 point per reception league, which I've heard a few leagues do, but man, he really wants to change it up.
Wow. Well, change it up you shall. There are different places you can go and put in your custom stats and get projections based on that. You're not going to find a pre-made ADP thing, so you'll have to go out and do that on your own. But I would first complain to the commish and tell him that the fantasy footballers say half-point PPR is the preferred.
Even if you go full point, I mean, you want to mix it up a little bit, that's fine. But 2 points, the answer to your question is you better draft some wide receivers.
Oh, that's
like all
for me.
wide receivers.
The answer to the question is you better draft Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's going to be about 10,000 points ahead of anybody else.
Yeah. Did you guys read where Le'Veon Bell said he was slow last year?
Yes.
And that he's like,
classic
he left
Bell.
tons of yards on the field.
I love watching him in preseason this year. It alleviates all my fears.
Mr. Methodical.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell.
All right, this one comes in from Julius.
Oh, Julius.
Hey, guys, for the entire summer, he's been preparing himself for a 10-man fantasy league. Now, 2 more people joined his draft, and they're switching to 12.
Did you say meow?
Meow.
I said now.
Meow.
Meow.
Sorry, I heard
meow. 2 more people have joined the league, and he has a week to prepare. What are the tips for converting from a 10 to 12-man league?
Oh, what? Who dropped that bomb on you?
Commish, man.
What are the... Hey, okay. We got to talk to the commissioners here. People, you change rules for next year. You don't put these rules in right here, right before a draft. Just the same way, 3/4 of the year, through the year, you don't say, guess what, it's now a keeper league.
Yeah.
These just... they're.
Yeah. As far as...
have some sensibility.
Yeah, be respectable.
To answer Julius's question here, the cool thing is if you have been preparing, Julius, for your 10 team and you have been doing the work and studying and listening to the ballers and all of that type of stuff, you're actually going to be better prepared and more successful, I think, in a 12-team. Because 12-team leagues are a little bit more difficult, and the players who do more preparation end up rising to the top because it's fewer players. So I think you'll be fine. The difference is no different. Pick the best players when they come up.
I agree. So that's it for today. I want to remind everybody, tomorrow we're going to do a draft day tricks and tips show.
Yeah.
Some people have already drafted. Most people probably are about to.
Coming up
So
this
we're going to do
weekend,
a draft day tips and tricks. Remember, we're here all week long. Make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud. It doesn't matter. You can go subscribe on YouTube and watch us on the television.
My tricks are mostly magic related.
Yeah.
I'm just preparing everyone.
Yeah, you always
card
do a
tricks,
few
smoke bombs,
rabbit in the hat,
a lot of fire
type of thing. We also have some really awesome interviews coming up. We're going to talk to John Paulson. We're going to have Chris Harris back on the show. We've got exciting news. We're going to talk to the center.
Yes.
For the New York Jets.
As long as everything holds up.
Yep. Nick Mangold. We also have some other guys we're not going to tell you about that are going to be pretty fun. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Great shows
That's a
coming
good
up.
tease.
All right. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. Visit the website if you have a question.
TheFantasyFootballers.com. And go get your mattress. Casper.com/ballers.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.